Before starting this video, I would like to thank every single person who has ever watched this channel for helping me get to 10,000 subscribers. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. And also to all my coffee supporters for not only supporting this channel, but for making every single minute worth it. Thank you all so much for watching this channel, and I hope you all enjoy the video. On the 11th of September 2015, a horse-focused Minecraft server called Equitopia was open to the public, boasting one of the most realistic horse plugins to date. Due to the absolute state of horse games, many younger gamers would flock to this server in search of good horse game mechanics. But that is not all they found. They were met with stripper poles, drugs, disgusting chat rooms, and a constant barrage of decadent dialogue and interactions with no moderator or admin to protect their 10 and up audience from this onslaught. Due to this negligence, the Minecraft server would become a hunting ground for not one but two hunters in the span of 7 years, until one of them would be removed and one would disappear off the internet. And this server flew under the radar because Mojang, developers of Minecraft, will only step in when gambling is involved. This is a dark subject, but one I feel needs to be discussed more. Equitopia will be our main focus today, as it was the biggest problem for a long time and stands as the best example of how far a community can fall if left unchecked. But Star Stable and Horse Reality will both be mentioned and explored as well, as this problem is not contained to one Minecraft server. To be clear, this video will be as accurate as possible. The screenshots and information shared comes from reliable sources, a string of people who contacted me over the course of a few weeks. If you are part of this Discord or any of these communities and you feel I misrepresented these facts, be sure to let me know. Also, to be absolutely clear, this is not a witch hunt. Many of the current and past moderators and owners of the server were younger than 14 when they were hired. I do not blame them for their conduct. I blame mostly the people who encouraged this conduct, and I want people to be aware that individuals like these exist and that they can and will manipulate even the most intelligent of innocents. And finally, during this video I am going to avoid using direct terminology, simply because I want to ensure that this message gets pushed as far as it can go, because I want people to be aware of what is going on in these chat rooms and games, to see for themselves the dark side of horse games. Horse games are prime targets for hunters. Due to the demographic and its popularity, the chances that a hunter will find a willing innocent is not only possible, it's a definite. In 2019, an 11-year-old innocent from the Netherlands came in contact with a hunter through Star Stable. Shortly thereafter, the innocent was kidnapped and the authorities would only find her a few days later. This event sent a shockwave through the Star Stable community, and SSO had to act to keep their players safe. At the time, they had a few moderators who would check the online chat for 2 to 4 hour periods at a time, as an ex-moderator explains. Primarily for the server that I had to moderate, the other moderator and I were able to plan and monitor accordingly to our time zones. However, at night it was particularly difficult. Depending on my workload, I would hang around on the server until approximately 10 PM weekdays, and this was only popping on, monitor or chat for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then heading off to bed. From 2 AM to around 6 AM, the global and area chats would remain unmoderated. I remember moderating a bit later in the night once and seeing inappropriate messages that bypassed the filter at the time. That was then forwarded to the team and handled quickly, but I am sure that there were other conversations which I was unaware of. I do remember conversations between the staff and moderators regarding potential grooming situations, and there was specific dialogue and actions taken when any potential incident or chat system to be heavily swung in that direction, and there were incidents where we were looking out for specific players. I remember Moorland being a primary area. These moderation gaps were definitely concerning. I wish they did incorporate a more stricter system, especially during those evenings. It's during these concerning time gaps that hunters are afforded the chance to stalk and seek out vulnerable players, and they took full advantage of that. Shortly after the Rotterdam event, all Star Stable moderators were fired and replaced by a strict chat system, which a lot of players found annoying. Players wanted a better chat system, but the problem remains: how do you monitor a player base of children with over 1 million players? For SSO, the answer lay in AI. A few months later, SSO would unveil its AI system that learned as it went. Many news outlets praised this AI system for smartly figuring out problems, but unfortunately, this chat system is not working, as an ex-moderator further explains. When I did check global chat for a brief period, I did notice that it is far more tricky to bypass the system for sure, though there were still people doing that, bypassing, especially with Discord-related chats. I find that there should be a harsher system, especially when external social media channel sites are being promoted in a game such as Star Stable. Although Discord is 13 and up, those within the 11 to 14 age bracket may still create one and not be aware of the dangers that this program also has, such as unsolicited DMs, potential hacks, and much more. A better filtering system and more Game Master's presence would be incredible to see. But I do find that those moderating days are over, and if they weren't, I truly hope that the next moderators are in it with their heart, not with the power. As we all remember from the Ambassador video, some of these moderators were quite power hungry, and that did a lot of damage to a lot of players. However, despite hailing this AI system as some grand concept, it is clearly allowing a lot of sick things to be posted, and players are abusing this in global chat, not to mention what they might be saying in private. But why is this such a problem? Why is it that when unsavory words are used in innocent areas that it becomes problematic? Because hunters need an area or a time frame in which they desensitize and expose innocents to these types of ideas. That way, when they bring it up later in a birds and bees context, it won't seem as inappropriate, and the innocent will be used to it. With no regulation, it becomes a free-for-all and a perfect hunting ground to desensitize. As SSO had to learn, and they had to go to extremes to gut these hunters from their website. But again, the Discords remain an open target for these people to get into. Discord and chat rooms outside of Star Stable are not being monitored as closely, and it's easy to slip into those spaces and find innocents. What all of this tells us is that these people are far more active, dangerous, and cunning than we give them credit for. And those horse games are a magnet, and leaving the door open for inappropriate discussions makes it easier for them to find a foothold. But with Star Stable's incident discussed and a sort of perspective on how these people get their foothold, let's dive into Minecraft and take a look at Equitopia. Most of us know what Minecraft is, but for clarity's sake, I will just briefly touch on its history. The game was first launched in 2011. It is a crafting, construction, and adventure game in which you can build really anything you want. Since its release, players could create instances to share in each other's worlds and passions. Due to the nature of Minecraft, these servers were often completely unique, hosting horror themes, history themes, cotton candy themes, and really anything your imagination could conjure up. Even 18+ adult servers. Players could also open shops and sell items, so many of these servers were considered full-fledged games in a lot of ways, and some even theorized that Minecraft started the microtransaction trend we find in so many games today. In 2014, Minecraft implemented a EULA, which is a user license agreement to prevent players from buying unfair advantages in-game, essentially gutting pay to win. Another interesting part of that agreement is the following. If you are going to make something available in or through our game, it must not be offensive to people or illegal. It must be honest, and it must be your own creation. Some examples of the types of things you must not make available using our game include posts that include racist or homophobic language, posts that are bullying or trolling, posts that are offensive or that damage our or another person's reputation, posts that include porn or someone else's creation or image, or posts that impersonate a moderator or to try to trick or exploit people. This will be important for later. But the element that makes these servers so appealing is that you can find a server that suits you perfectly. The game is essentially limitless, and really any style of game can be made with the correct plugins and mods. In essence, these two can be combined to create almost anything within the boundaries of Minecraft. As a result, you can get vastly different games, and especially horse games. Horse gamers, as we all know, are pretty desperate for a good game. As many articles have pointed out, and my own work has pointed out, horse games are bad, and the only place we can find good games are in mods. And so people, especially the innocent, flock to Minecraft in search of a good horse game. That is not exactly what they found. Our main focus today is going to be Equitopia, but before we get into that, I'd just like to first mention something about the pricing on all of these servers, because this is pretty devious. One common issue all of these servers share is pricing. Their prices are atrocious, as you can clearly see here. That's just bloody expensive. They are squeezing as much money out of these players as possible. These prices are more expensive than Equestrian the Game, Century Age of Ashes, and Wild Shade put together. Never thought I'd see the day. Sorry I complained, guys. But these high prices create a specific problem. Having these high prices is an underhanded way of locking players into the server and keeping them there. They lure you in with an emotional investment, horses, and then they lock you in with a secondary investment, money. This is known as the sunken cost fallacy, the phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be a more beneficial act. Monetary investment is far more difficult to distance yourself from because the server instantly raises in value by your own standards. And with these high prices, it becomes difficult to extract yourself from the game because you've already invested invested so much money into it. And it feels like a waste to let it all go. This is also a valid way to blackmail and threaten people into staying on the server. If you get kicked, you lose all of your items you paid for, and a lot of players will fall in line to avoid that punishment and losing their investment. This will be a common theme later. Now, the prices are of course not the meat of this video. This was more or less just to showcase how high these prices can get and why they are so high. It's a tactic to hook you in, and simply put, they can get away with it because there is little to no competition. To be clear, a lot of games do run on these high prices, and all games raise in value the second you put money into it. However, in the case of some of these Minecraft servers, they are not being run by official gaming companies, and they can, without any care, delete your profile for no reason at all, making it a bit more of a risk to engage in these servers. Let's get into the server and its issues, finally. Equitopia was launched on the 11th of September 2015 by Soph and Meave, with Linky acting as community manager. All three of these people were innocents, and Jed, the lead developer, was 19. According to their wiki page, Equitopia is an equine mind server established in 2015, with the goal being the most advanced equine server to ever be made, to revolutionize how equine servers are viewed. In the past couple of weeks, a few people have come forward explaining how Jed, or Daddy Jediah as he's also known, an NPC, the admin of the server, had sexually harassed, groomed, and made them outright uncomfortable on the server. According to many sources and screenshots, Jed's conduct was anything but normal, constantly talking about the birds and the bees in general open chat, making comments about innocent pictures, encouraging persuasive selfies, and pushing unsavory interactions in game. You can, for example, get married in this game. There are no age checks, and seeing as it's a 13+, you can theoretically have a 13 marry a 25. Ugh. Now, at the beginning, and from what I could tell, the server was a normal horse server. The plugin was and is very good, and still stands as one of the most realistic horse plugins for Minecraft. The horses are decently animated, and the textures are nice, with horses getting sick and needing to pay for boarding. It really feels like a realistic horse simulation, or as realistic as a horse game set in Minecraft can be. By their own admission, the server is for 13+, and was at one point 10+, until the rule was enforced by the EULA to become 13+. And really, it seems at first the game did keep to that 13+ rating, but as time went on, Jed and the mods would push for seedier stuff to be added to the server. They added bars where you can buy named alcoholic drinks that actually make you in-game drunk or tipsy. They also serve weed-associated drinks and food. There's also a Playboy store in the public mall. It has a BDS theme, and you can also find the armor statues displaying birds and bees favors and other unsavory acts on each other. There's also a strip club, which you can also find in the public mall. There are others to be found in the game as well, but this one in particular is open for the public. Remember, this is 13+. In this strip club, you have a half-naked lady walking around asking you if you'd like a favor. According to some sources, if you donate enough money to the stripper, she will begin to dance. But I sure as heck wasn't about to spend money on this and find out. They also have the in-game version of Ricardo standing in the mall. And for those who don't know who he is, let's just say he's not exactly young viewer friendly. As a half-naked man in a speedo, he will walk up to you and ask, "What does that tongue do?" And again, this is open for anyone to find in-game with no restrictions. Just an almost naked man walking around asking you about your tongue. I feel very unsafe. Even just from this, we can clearly see this game is not meant for innocents, and yet the age restriction is still 13+. Remember, you can also find 18+ servers, which would have been fine, but the game is still 13+. As the server grew, NPC would become a bit of a problem. Although I couldn't find direct screenshots, most everyone who spoke to me about NPC had the same thing to say. He was a creep. According to a few sources and the current mods, he actually groomed one player on the server and another he outright stalked. But despite being a big problem, he was only removed in 2022 when he was caught. But this comes as no surprise, as the culture of the server itself lended itself to these types of interactions. As we can see by these chat rooms, you could essentially just say about anything on the server with little to no repercussions, and some of these discussions became a little rough. Anything was okay to talk about, and very little was censored or discouraged. As a result, it became a perfect hunting ground for people like NPC, as we explored with the Star Stable issue. Now, we would love to be able to pin all of this on NPC and Jed, the two actual hunters, but the fact of the matter is they were not the only ones at fault. According to sources, Meave, one of the owners, added textures to the game and directly encouraged the addition of horse genitalia. Rowan, I believe a moderator, also pushed hard for this to be added. These are additions that are unneeded and quite frankly disgusting for a game aimed at innocence 13+. Also, fun fact, you have to lead your horse to the mare so that it will literally mount the mare. How is this okay for a 13+ server? So although it is easy to pin all of this on the hunters, we can't deny that the owners and moderators not only encouraged, but helped to turn the server into this decadent mess it is now. But it gets a little worse. Jed has played BDSM dress-up with his fans. This person in this picture is definitely underaged when this picture was taken. And this was posted on their public Discord server in general chat. He's been known to use some rather vile speech in chat, despite the rule being, please keep bad chat to a minimum. Offensive words are not tolerated. Overall, this rule is rarely enforced, as we can see by these chat logs. Jed would also have this habit of withholding attention, making some players desperate for him to notice them. This is an anecdotal evidence, but it has been mentioned a few times, so I think it's worth mentioning. As young players, this is the worst thing that can happen to them, and they will do just about anything to get noticed after a while. Once they have pushed long and hard enough, Jed will include them into the fun, and so they will feel like they've received an award. They worked hard to get noticed, so now they'll do anything to keep its attention. I'm actually starting to feel physically sick about now. Ignoring someone is extremely damaging. According to an article from Love to Pivot, they describe not only the psychological damages of being ignored, but also how it can be used as a means to exert control over someone. In another article from Hey Sigmund, they explain that ignoring someone can actually cause physical pain because it triggers that part of the brain when you are being ignored. The point I'm making with these articles is that by actively shunning a young person, it becomes like a form of torture, and they will respond in desperation to make it stop. But it gets even worse. Brace yourself. Your horse can die from using illegal drugs. It's not exactly the worst, but again, why is this in a game aimed at innocence? NPC and Jed would add a couch to the game, specifically for lovemaking. You could also, according to sources, add a stripper pole to your own stable. They would add a peach emoji that represented male stuff, and Jed would beg for money to literally feed his drinking habit, and I quote, "If you're seeing this page, it means I haven't finished the new website yet. Maybe you should consider donating so that I can buy some beer and finish it. Go on, you know you wanna. Please, just a bit. I swear I don't have a problem. Alcoholism? Never heard of it. Please, sir, just a little more." Oh my god. But it gets even worse. He also added a mod that allowed players to pee into his mouth, and the pee was originally red to represent that time of the month. Okay, that did it. Dear God, why? This alone is problematic, and the fact that no one, not a single person, spoke up about this is not only worrying, it's sickening. I want to make it clear, the person in this picture is again underaged. They are still underaged. They are an innocent, and Jed exploited that innocence to slate his own depraved needs. Moving on, during Christmas, Jed would play Santa Claus for the innocent. They can come up to him, sit on his lap, and they can tell him what they want for Christmas. Mild compared to what's going on, but considering the other stuff, this is even more disturbing. Now, this is what's going on in the server itself. Rough by any standard. But the problem, unfortunately, does not end with the servers. It expands into the Discord as well, and we have a bit of a legal issue here. The Equitopia Discord server can only be accessed through the actual server. This makes it difficult for parents to actually go in and check it out before letting your innocent go in there. It's a bit of a secret in a way. Secrets are fun, and not letting mom and dad know about the secret place where fun things are being discussed is a surefire way of keeping the innocent away from their parents. It also has the horrific effect that when the younger player starts to feel uncomfortable or scared, they won't go and tell their parents, because if they never told them about the server, they might feel they are in trouble. So they just feel stuck and they can't leave. It's a psychological hold they have on them. Whether this is the intention or not, it's still a by-effect of keeping a server away from the public eye. In the Equitopia Discord, there are public and private servers as per the standard, and per the rules, the public server should not have pics of NSFW images. However, this is not only the norm, it is actively encouraged. Images and discussions that are wildly inappropriate for innocents run rampant on the Discord, and the admins do little to stop it. Jed, in turn, actively encouraged it. often pushing younger players into posting pics that would be considered very inappropriate. Most of the conversations in this Discord are not only inappropriate, but downright uncomfortable. It is a nesting ground for hunters because there is absolutely no filter and no restrictions. You can essentially participate in anything. As you can see by these examples, the chat is something else. Some users have claimed that Jed has contacted them while they were underaged, and he made some birds and bees comments during these discussions. In case you can't tell, this is not a place you want younger players to be, and if you think that these hunters aren't in the horse game servers, think again. On 9 September 2022, the entire Horse Reality Discord server was shut down after a distressing situation was brought to light. In brief, people were accusing a player of being a hunter as he shared a username with another player on a different horse game and had been accused of such a thing in the past. After the Horse Reality mods did a thorough investigation, they could not find any sort of ill intent from the player, and seeing as people can and do pick the same usernames, they opted not to ban the individual. However, this did not appease the players, and it became a heated back and forth with players throwing insults at the moderators. Shortly thereafter, the entire Discord was shut down and they issued a statement. The reason why I bring up the situation is to showcase the stark difference between the two Discords. In the case of Horse Reality, they had strict rules and guidelines and still managed to lure in the undesirables. In Equitopia, the rules are never enforced. Anything goes, and as a result, it not only lures in those people but makes it 10 times easier for them to engage and hunt. And according to this post, some of them are still under 13, which is a big damn problem. They have broken most, if not all, of Discord's guidelines. For example, do not sexualize children in any way. You cannot share content or links which depict children in pornographic, sexually suggestive or violent manner, including illustrated or digitally altered pornography that depicts children. Do not make adult content available to anyone under the age of 18. You must be 18 age or older to participate in adult content on Discord. You must apply the age-restricted labels to any channels or servers if they contain adult content or other restricted content such as violent content. Do not use adult contents in avatars, server banners, server icons, invite splashes, emoji stickers, or any other space that cannot be age-restricted. This is from the Discord Community Guidelines, which was effective on 28 March 2022. The problem that I have with this is they have essentially broken all of these rules and they were never taken down, which is a huge problem. I don't know why this server remained open when it was so blatantly breaking the rules of Discord for so long, 7 damn years. But it gets even better. There's also a rumor running around that if you want to be on staff on Equitopia, send Jed your boobs. But now we're left with the question again, how did a server like this stay open for 7 years? The problem has not been addressed by Mojang, not from what I could tell, despite people reporting this server, the game itself, and the Discord, and people actually protesting in-game against these hunters in 2020. Let's take a look at the agreement from Mojang again. If you are going to make something available on or through your game, it must not be offensive to people or illegal, it must be honest, and it must be your own creation. Some examples of the types of things you must not make available using our game include posts that are offensive or that damage our or another person's reputation, posts that include porn or someone else's creation or image, or posts that impersonate a moderator or try to trick or exploit. What's funny is they did actually use another person's creation or image in the game in the bar. Belle Delphine could be found in the bar for an extremely long time before it was finally removed. So that's already one rule that they're breaking. Not to mention the pornography, not to mention making Mojang look bad. This is Mojang's own agreement. This is what they should be upholding. And if they honestly don't think that being associated with something like this does not damage their reputation, then I am damn curious to hear what they think does. But beyond that, Discord didn't do anything. No one stopped these people from exploiting minors to these types of unsavory things. Why didn't the people who ran this server actually do anything? I had a chance to speak to a few of them, and the responses were worrying to say the least. One of the owners claimed that they didn't see anything really wrong with it. It was more or less just good fun, and they didn't feel that Jed had any ill intent. When I pointed out that these were innocents, they did acknowledge that maybe it wasn't exactly proper, but still didn't think Jed was a problem. Another felt that they were only running with the pack and that they didn't have much say in the matter. They were in short convinced from a very young age to fall in line and were often intimidated by Jed. And another moderator acknowledged the problems now but said that back then it didn't feel like there was much of a problem because as an innocent yourself, you didn't really see an issue with it. That I can absolutely believe. As an innocent, you don't really have the mental capacity and judgment to understand why what you're doing is bad, and some of these mods were around 12 when they started. It's the reason why I'm struggling to kind of go at them Hunters know what they're doing, and it's very easy to twist young minds into believing that they are part of the fun, as shown by the effects of ignoring someone. But unfortunately, it goes a little further than that. Currently, Jed has disappeared into the ether. No one knows where he is. All we do know is he is taking care of family business, but no one can corroborate the story. The moderators and owners have made a statement denouncing what he did, and now they are trying to move forward with the server. Now this is good, but honestly, I can only feel a sense of dread. While speaking to the moderators and some of the owners, I realized that a lot of them are good friends with Jed. When complaints came in about Jed's behavior, many of these owners would shut them down to protect him. They would even go so far as to ban people and demonize them in chat. This was quickly caught on by the other moderators, and they would engage in this as well. The issue now arises, should Jed return, will these moderators and owners protect him again? This is where the problem lies. Instead of taking these complaints seriously, they instead laughed it off or ignored it and enabled both Jed and NPC to continue hunting for 7 years. I say again, 7 years. Where was Discord for this situation? If you consider the fact that getting banned from these servers means that you lose everything, we can see why so few people would step forward and say anything. Remember the blackmail comments I made earlier? This is kind of what happened. Your investment in the game was huge, and if speaking up meant losing that investment, you're rather going to keep quiet. And in that way, they kept these people from speaking up about a hunter. The issue now arises, should Jed return, will these moderators protect him again? Because he actually does have a stake in this Equitopia server. Can he come back in with a different name? Can he continue doing what he's always doing? I don't know, but it is a valid concern and one the Equitopia community must take seriously. NPC was banned. Jed should also be outright banned. Now, no matter good a friend he was, the damage he did is irreparable and stands as a testament to what he is behind closed doors. As of making this video, the creators of Equitopia have been hard at work to fix the problems on their server. Although I was hard on them, and some of the founders, like me, I do believe they are trying to fix their server, and I am not unsympathetic to what some of them must have gone through. I am harsh because I want them to change, and because I want players to be aware of what they're getting themselves into on Equitopia. Whether the server will continue to grow into a positive direction remains to be seen, and is absolutely in their hands, not ours. But to the players who have gone through this or who are going through this, just know that no matter how alone you feel or how terrified you are, there is always someone in your life that will and can help. Keep yourself safe. Be aware of how these people work, and if someone makes you uncomfortable, never be afraid to speak up and leave. Your safety and well-being will always be far more important than a Minecraft stable, no matter what these people might tell you.